There's been some new additions to my Schecter signature guitar line, and I'm super pumped. We have the Mark III Pro, which is a killer bolt-on neck version, and the Mark III Studio, which is full neck-through construction. These are boutique USA custom shop guitars that were designed by myself and brought to life by master luthier John Gadesi. We also have some more affordable import versions of these guitars that are going to be releasing Q3 of this year. But right now, I figured I would give you guys a bit of a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the Mark III, and sort of the story of how this guitar has evolved since my early days with Schecter. And here's some words from the team that's responsible for this thing existing.
Fucking Merrow!
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that we're going into our 5th year working together. The Mark I came out the gate, it was actually crazy. You know, the guitar had every feature under the sun for an import guitar, and it raised the bar, it smashed the bar. We sold thousands of those guitars. It just kind of steamrolled into the Mark II, which was a little bit stealthier. The perfect time for us to launch into the Mark III.
About a year ago, I had been talking with Keith, and he had always expressed a great interest in doing top-of-the-line custom shop guitar. What better artist to do it with than Keith? Top-selling artist. He's very involved with his guitars, his designs. We've done a lot together, traveling the world, and become even better friends. Got something even more special to work on and build on for his custom shop guitar that we're in the process of making now.
I'm John Gadesi. I'm one of the co-managers here at the Schecter USA Custom Shop. I started back in 1983, back in San Dimas, and Michael Cervolo, the president, and I have known each other since, way back, over 25 years. This has been one of the most challenging projects ever, but the most exciting because it has a lot of hands-on, old-school craftsmanship details that's just the only way you can do certain aspects. It's really great. I mean, for somebody who that's what I do and that's what I love to do, the challenge has been a great learning experience for me too. To, at this point in the game, 30-something years down the road, it's nice to get something that makes you stretch again. And then you go, wow, man, I kind of got to the next level. It's been challenging, but in a really rewarding way.
One of the main features of the new guitar is the custom voiced Fishman Fluence pickups. They really define the tone of the Mark III guitars and really any guitar I've put them in so far. Having worked on several different guitar pickup projects over the years, I'd say that Fishman has the most innovative and efficient design process that I've personally experienced when it comes to designing a guitar pickup. Their technology is super crazy. I just spent one really chill evening at my buddy Tosin's home studio with Frank Falbo from Fishman, and by the end of the night, I just felt like I had the perfect set of guitar pickups.
So working with Keith Merrow was definitely a unique case for us. Keith already established himself in the music industry as someone who could voice pickups or work in product development, so he's very knowledgeable when it comes to pickups. When we first spoke, he said that he was very intrigued with the Fluence technology, and he definitely thought that it was something that most other pickups couldn't do on the market. So when it came time to do R&D with Keith, it was actually pretty great because we knew what we could offer him, and he knew exactly what he was looking for.
I've known Keith for a long time, and we kind of both knew that eventually, someday we would end up working together on a project. And so when he told me that he was working on this new guitar, it just seemed like the timing was perfect. One of the most fun things about this project was getting that feel and that vibe for Keith. this coil technology really just allows us to do almost anything that we want. So these pickups that we made for this guitar are really a testimonial to the flexibility and the range that's contained within this Fluence core.
So Keith's custom set has 3 voicings. The first voicing is a mid-gain pickup with full body and like a cool lower mid grunt. Definitely very girthy and explosive when you hit the lower notes. This is a cool sound for Keith. This is something that I think that he's been searching for and has kind of used in some capacity throughout his career. It's something that he's very familiar with.
We were able to get this tight, articulate, yet robust and guttural and gnarly sound that really does make it out the other side of the amp. It's amazing how the subtleties that we do here at the pickup side really do make it all the way out the gain stages and all the way out the other side of the amp.
Keith's second voice is what we call a vintage brown sound with low output. Basically what that means is that Keith is a big fan of passive pickups. There's no hiding that fact. He definitely was adamant when we were doing our R&D session that he was like, I need these to sound passive, I need these to feel passive. This is exactly what I'm after, but what I want is the Fluence clarity within that tone. So we definitely did something that was very different than our standard classic pickups that we already currently have in production. We just took a different take on that. We explored, and we definitely arrived at a sound that Keith was very happy with. Fishman and Keith getting together to make a pickup was a really great experience. I think we made a really great product, and I think it shows for itself. The Fishman Fluence technology proved that it can do just about anything.
I'm super fortunate and really incredibly honored to have worked with such a talented team of people on these pickups and the new guitars. This time around, the process for designing this guitar was much more hands-on than the previous versions, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I mean, we put a lot of time and work into it, but it didn't feel like work. It just felt like I was doing something real sick with my friends. But I mean, all that time and effort and work that went into it, it all paid off instantly. The second I hit that first chord on the Mark III for the first time, it was just like, ugh.
Well, I thought I'd run you through the operations in the shop, the top things that went into designing the guitar with Keith and getting it to the point where we could start building it on the machine. So this is my office. Keith and I spent a lot of time in here with some of his older models, all of his ideas, get it on the computer. That way you start with a record of what you're doing, and it creates a history. As you modify things, you're able to still go back compared to the old days of manual drafting. We've got a history of everything we're working on. That goes into building a 3D model that we can slice and dice and look at and measure. And this happens to be the bolt-on version. Nothing's more important than what we're doing right now. Just hang that up. So once we got it to that point, we talked about the components and the woodwork, and then we took it out there, which I'll show you the rest of the shop. But here's one of the prototype bolt-ons here. So this little room was really like the kind of monster lab where all the ideas got hashed out, all the electronic stuff, all the 3D stuff, and all the CAD programming happens. So this is the main part of the shop. The first process, whether it's custom or a production piece, is picking the right lumber. Some of this stuff has been seasoning, so to speak, for 10, 15 years. So Keith was really spot on with what he wanted to do, what he wanted to use. So we picked those pieces. We come through here. It's a lengthy process, but just to kind of show you, this is where the wood gets dimensioned, cut to size. And the heart of this guitar really is this core. And this is where these get glued up. Wengi, Purple Heart, Eastern Maple Veneer, This is a really, really sturdy piece of lumber when it's put together. We do have some tops that happen to be laying here for, these are going to go on the bolt-on versions, which are figured maple tops, usually the flame and curly maple compared to the spalt, which is on the neck-through model. So once we have the main components, we transfer all of the data, all of the R&D, all the time, and calculations into turning that raw component into a guitar. This happens to be really in a mid-stage of this instrument. We have a method that works great every time, accurate every time. We're producing the same instrument every time. And it's not for lack of hands-on. There's tons of hands-on work, but you know, there's certain things you don't want to leave up to just, oh, I think that's good enough, because it's not. So this is really, this machine comes into play in almost every major aspect of the game on this guitar, from where the fret slots are, how deep they are, everything on this guitar. This was the first guitar that Keith and I built together off his first concept. We left certain things out, like the black laminate, and knowing that this was mainly just, let's get our hands dirty, let's see what works, what doesn't work, what we like, what we don't like. When we were done, I wish we would have just used the regular materials, because it was like, wow, there wasn't anything that didn't work or didn't happen how we wanted it. So, you know, this is one of those college fun guitars. One of these days I'll have this in my archive, you know, it'll be the first one of this old batch. But basically, when we're done with all the CNC work, it would go from this stage over here, and this is where the hand sanding happens, kind of at the end of the day, so a lot of people are gone for the day. But this is all about hand sanding, carving any of the minute details in the contouring, getting scratches out, pre-staining the wood, grain enhancement, all that happens over here. The same way it's happened in the electric guitar business since the 50s. There's just certain parts that don't change. One, they don't need to change, and two, you know, as high-tech as the machines are and everything, there's something about certain stages still being left up to an individual who cares about the instrument. It really just transfers into it. It turns it from just a component into a musical instrument. So this is where that happens. So this is the finishing department. Once something is contoured, finished scratches are out, certain finishes get a stain or a grain enhancement. But also, if we get into the high gloss models, that's when we take it into the buffing room, and you can see in there, it's brought up to a real high luster shine. So that's what happens here. This is kind of the triage room for the paint department. This is where logos get applied. If there's any more final shading or masking for binding, anything like that, that all happens in here. Custom color mixing, and then as something comes out of the paint booth, it'll come in here for like a flash drawing. We can heat the booth up real hot and get that to skin over, so you get it to a touchable finish before any dust falls into it. Right here we've got Chewy, our head painter. He's painting right now. And there he is. Hey, look what he's got. The very first KM7 bolt-on proto necks, 1 and 2. So as you can see, those are grain enhanced prior to any other color that's going on the top. And this guy's painted for everybody. here's where the magic really happens. You know, there's a lot of care and hands-on stuff that happens in the wood shop, in the paint department, but this is what takes components and turns them into something that has a heart and a soul to it, a real playable musical instrument. This is Shigeki Hiroshima right here. He's head of this department, and he'll be assembling, doing the fretwork. Been with Schecter forever, and just too big of a list of celebrities he's worked with to get into, but couldn't ask for a better guy to head this project. And here's Jake, right now doing some wiring. No doubt he'll be involved in this project as well. So it's this dynamic duo that gets everything from parts to instrument.
So the process of designing and building this guitar was easily the most fun and interesting and entertaining project I've ever been a part of. There's just so many talented people on every level involved in this project, and I'm super thankful for every single one of them. But really, the ones that I'm most thankful for by far are all of the amazing KM guitar owners out there. I mean, let's be real. If it weren't for the fact that there's people out there playing a Mark I or a Mark II, a KM6 or a KM7, this Mark III and my dream guitar may have never even existed. So really I have to thank all of those KM owners and their support. That right there is ultimately the reason why I was able to do this project to begin with. So thank you, seriously. And thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna do my best to try to get back on track and make some new videos for you guys. I've been slacking on that, I know. I've just been, traveling and touring and working on big projects like this one, so it's kind of hard to keep up sometimes, but I'll try a little harder. And for those of you who want more information on these guitars, you can go to schecterguitars.com. Just pull up my models. You can find all the specs listed there for them for both the Pro and the Studio models, as well as my previous generation guitars. So be sure to go check those out. Thanks everybody. See you soon.